Well, I'm Dave Johnson. Yeah, thanks for finding us in the DC 12 Clubhouse. This for another edition of the Off the Court Show. And you know how this works. This is our question and answer series exclusive to season ticket members in the DC 12 Clubhouse. And believe me, again, we appreciate your support as we continue on this journey. We hope you enjoyed the conversations with Robin Lopez and appreciate everyone that submitted the questions this week. Wow. Am I looking forward to this? I mean, in fact, they wanted to schedule this last year, but I said, no. I need extra time to get ready because from NBC Sports Washington, we have Chris Miller and Wes Hall. Chris is NBC Sports Washington insider. Chris, if I'd known you're such a big deal, I would have been nicer to you all these years that we worked together. And Wes Hall, you so much fun hosting the pre and post game host of Wizards pregame live and Wizards postgame live. But sincerely, gentlemen, first of all, happy New Year and thank you for your passion for Wizards basketball and all you do to enhance the experience. I mean, I'm supposed to talk for a living about the Wizards, but I find myself saying, well, I just want to hear Chris and Wes and see what they have to say. And, then I'll steal it. And that's what we do in radio.
I know that's not true.
We've got questions from our season ticket members. And again, thanks for finding us in the DC 12 Clubhouse. But why don't we just get started by, just backgrounds. We assume we know everybody, but I'll start with you, Wes. What brought you to this point with NBC Sports Washington? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I guess it's easy to say I was born in Tennessee, but raised in Southern California. And then I moved to the DMV probably, it's 2021. I got to get the day on the calendar right. I'm so used to doing the other math. Now 2021. So I've been in the area for 6 years, covering this team for about 5. As far as the Wizards are concerned, most people probably remember me from when I was working with Monumental on Wiz Got Next with Dan Nolan. We did a pregame tune-in show a few years back. Had a great time doing that. And background beyond that is TV, radio, acting, and voiceover work. I've done a ton of that throughout most of my career, and I continue to do that for NBC Sports Washington right now. This season, they've given me the reins after doing DC Sports Live last year and Wizards Outsiders the year before that. Now I get to fly the plane for Wizards pre and post and having a great time doing it because I get to work with my brother, Chris Miller, and he is someone who I've admired over the years. His work, his dedication and passion has really been the breadcrumbs leading me down a path of success. So just to be able to have a show with him and where we get to talk ball, that's what we do. We have fun talking ball, and I absolutely love doing it. So that's just kind of a snapshot on me. At the end of the day, I like to have fun, and anybody who's ever watched any of my shows knows I don't like Reese cups. That's the only thing. Other than that, we're pretty good.
Pretty good. And let me tell you something. I can see how that. I don't know what you're selling, but I'm buying because that voice is smooth and it could absolutely sell everything, anything. And in full disclosure, Chris Miller and I have worked so often together. As you echoed those very kind words about Chris Miller, he truly is the best. And just one of the things I miss is our days together anchoring at Comcast Sports Washington or NBC Sports Washington or whatever. I don't even know what network I work for anymore. And may not work for one after this show. But anyway, Chris, give us a little bit of your background. Yeah, we know you're the Cleveland days and this and that, but I think people are curious about what brought you to this point in your career.
I'm born and raised in the great city and state of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I went to school in Indiana. My first TV job was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I was in Cleveland for 6 years before I came here. Funny story about the Cleveland-Washington connection. I was on the other side of the first of 3 first-round matchups between the Wizards and Cavaliers, and pretty much got a sense of DC and not even knowing it at the time that the very next year I would be moving my family here to be the Wizards beat reporter after covering that first year. And I just thought to myself, man, that's a really good team over there. And it was a 6-game series. It could have went 7. It could have went the other way. There were some questionable calls in that series, right? And I just never thought at the time, wow, man, could I end up in DC? And I've been on the beat now for 14 years. I've covered some quality people in this organization, and not just players, but front office people, coaches. Fans are amazing. And the one thing that I always take away from the experience of covering the Washington Wizards for so long is the fans are passionate about this team. When they win, they are all in. When they lose, they want to know why. And that's one thing that I've always taken away from that. And I don't take that lightly. I don't take it for granted. I truly love covering this team. And as Wes said, my passion is first and foremost. I wear it on my sleeve sometimes because I want the team to do so well. But trying to find that balance is what you try to work with when you're in this when you're in this business.
Well, and that's exactly it. But that's passion. Sometimes it's an overused word, but it's true, and it's a good kind of passion because it means you care, and that's what I think we love, about fans. And sometimes, part of the word fans is fanatical. That means, you're really into it, and you really care about it. It's a good thing to care about it. Along those lines, what Chris was just saying, Wes, what do you find as a balance of team that you're not only interested in, but you're also covering? Because again, our passions spill through because we spend so much of our time, our lives with this team.
Yeah, it's so interesting because obviously I'm a sports fan. It would be really weird to work in the sports industry and not be a sports fan. So I'm definitely a fan, almost to my own detriment sometimes, because the at-home version of me uses a lot more emotions than I'm allowed to use on television. But I love the balance because I look at my role as kind of a bit of a conduit or as an ambassador to the team and what's happening within the organization and on the court. And then the fan that's at home, that's engaged right now, obviously, in a non-attendant situation. But even to being in the arena, like I love being around sports. And I remember when I was young, whether I was a ball boy for a different team here or there, or, playing sports myself, I just love the passion of being around the game. And I'm inquisitive. I'm always curious. I'm the guy that while the game's going on, if there's a timeout, I'm not just looking at the 5 guys that came off the court. I'm looking down the bench at like, what's that other guy doing? Is he stretching? Is he coming back in the game? Like my mind is always going. And I know that fans appreciate that because I consider myself a fan. And I think that we all want to be as close to the team as we can possibly be. And that's what I love about being able to connect with people and share my voice and share my perspective. I don't get everything right most of the time. Matter of fact, every time I've been wrong, Chris Miller has been the one to be like, I see where you're coming from, but let's go here with it. And so, it's been a fun journey doing that. And so like, I'm the guy that anybody around NBC Sports Washington will tell you, I'm known for having custom jerseys. I have almost all of them because again, I'm a fan. And so walking the line for me is just making sure that I ask the right questions and I offer the right perspective that the fans can take home and be able to use in their own conversations, because that's what I like to do.
Well, and again, that's what is so wonderful about sports. It's like a cocoon we get in for 2 or 3 hours where, whether a shot goes in or not is the most important thing. With everything else that's going on in life, that's not a bad thing. Along those lines, what you're talking about with fans, and first of all, since you were just commenting, Wes, and I'll get you, Chris, to answer. This is from, as we get to some of our season ticket member questions here in the DC-12 Clubhouse. I'll start with you, Wes. Is there any fan story you have, or how much do the fans mean to the game? Do you have some personal stories of that, or maybe Capital One memories?
Yes. Besides the Paul Pierce Icall game moments that we all remember, one of my favorite memories was actually, I think it was the beginning of last season. We were doing DC Sports Live. No, it was the Outsider season. Wow, 2 seasons ago. Nick Ashew and I had come by the game. I forget which game it was, but I happened to have 2 extra tickets for myself that were down in the 100 section. Now, mind you, I was also sitting in the suite that night. So I was like, I got 2 extra tickets. What am I going to do with these? And I told Nick, I said, hey, bro, let's go up to the 400 level. Let's find somebody up there. And, obviously we only have 2, so I can't bring the whole family down, but let's find somebody and hook them up with some tickets and bring them down. And so we went up there. We found a gentleman with his daughter. I think she was about 9 years old. And we were like, hey, guys, don't mean to scare you. Like, this is totally legit. I've got 2 extra tickets. Would you mind taking them and coming down? And he was like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm so serious. Come take these tickets. And they came down, and the look on her face, that's what was the win for me. The fact that she was like, this once in a lifetime experience. And I don't know if she's ever been to a game before or after, but that experience of just knowing that she was going to get closer to her favorite players. I remember she had a John Wall jersey on at the time, like just being able to get closer and see the game and feel the game, that joy. And then the bonding experience between father and daughter at a game, like that's a new memory that we've created. And that's what it's about for me, being able to create something that lives on beyond the moment that we were in.
They're moments, special moments. Chris Miller, your thoughts? I mean, Capital One Arena. You're the mayor of the building, so you must have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I just love arriving at the arena between 4 and 4:30 and seeing the security guards. I feel like I know them all. There's a lot of fans, but there's those core fans that you see every night, and you build a relationship with them, right? We're all in this kind of together to enjoy the experience of the night. And, I've sat in a couple of different sections at Capital One Arena. So, during a timeout, so when I used to do sideline, the one thing that I used to laugh about is I think people forgot that I was on TV. They just saw me there and they just felt like they could just have a conversation. So there was a fan that sat in section 106, and he would always say something to me about defense, put this guy in. He was happy about, a run that we were on, and he would just talk to me. And I remember there was at least 3 or 4 times I would be doing a hit during the game about some storyline, and he'd be like, Chris. So one time I just turned around and I was like, bro, I'm on TV actually doing this hit. What do you want? Right? And I'm trying to make it in a funny moment. It ended up being hilarious. He was just like, Beal did something, and I was like, hey guys, you heard it from the fans. They
Right.
love what Bradley Beal's doing, and that's the kind of connection that I've missed during, obviously this pandemic. Watching the games from the home office is I just miss, walking into the arena and seeing those fans and just know that they're there to watch their team play hard, right? And
Right.
hopefully one day we'll get back there. But those are kind of some of my favorite moments, Dave, is just really interacting in real time with fans as they're watching the game.
You never know. You might end up on TV with Chris Miller, but that's just it. And I actually just wrote a piece on WTOP.com about that's what it's all about. We love having the games back. And, the other night, Thomas Bryant throws down a dunk, and you still have the excitement of winning a basketball game. But, I miss talking to the hot dog vendor every game who's going to explain to me, how you sort it out. I think that's because this is the forum we're in today in the DC 12 clubhouse. And we know so many of you personally, and quite frankly, we miss you. Let's stay with Chris Miller on this. We're going to talk about some questions about interactions with Wizards players now. And specific season ticket member asked for Chris, what is your favorite story about Bradley Beal? Do you have one?
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. One in particular was, I think it was his second year in the league. Brad gave us access to go to his hometown of St. Louis to go to his basketball camp. Well, what happened was it actually morphed into just going to his basketball camp. He just bought his parents, Bobby and Vesta, a home, and it just so happened all the brothers were home. Now, if you know Bradley Beal, he has 4 of the brothers, all with the names starting with B. There's Brandon, there's Byron, there's Brian, there's Bruce, there's Bobby, Vesta, and Brad, right? So we get to the house. So we do, we're doing a documentary on Brad, and we do the basketball stuff at Chaminade High School. And then Brad and I are in the car, and we're driving to his parents' house. And, I'm thinking, I'm producing in my mind what I want to do about the home part of this documentary. So we get into the house, and like right when you walk in, there's a huge table. And it just hit me at the moment. I was like, how about we have them all sit around this table, but before we start the interview, we have them look at the camera and say, hi, I'm Bobby. And then we cut, I'm Vesta, I'm Bruce, I'm Brandon. So it literally was going around the room. And at the end, they were like, and we're the Beals. And I thought that was like one of the funniest things because they were all into it. And then we just let the camera roll for about a half hour, Dave. And we just kind of let them talk. And you kind of figured out like, oh, Brad has a community around him. It's a community of love, his family. It's very tight knit. They joke on one another. And you go, oh, okay, I get it now. This is the guy that is going to ultimately be, the franchise player, is because he comes from great stock, right? So that's kind of one memory. about Brad. The other one was, he adopted a school in DC, and
Okay.
I remember we went to an event probably last year or 2 years ago. It was a Christmas event, and there was two boxes for each kid, and he got them basketball shoes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the looks on those kids' faces really said
Yeah.
everything. And that's the one thing that I've taken away from being on this beat for as long as I have is the basketball stuff is great. That's what they're here for. But the community outreach stuff, I mean, it just kind of warms my heart, right? I told Brad this before. It's like I don't care if you score another basket for the Washington Wizards, bro. You are solidified in my book because of what you've done in our community.
Dave, can I piggyback on Chris and Brad real quick? Just real quick.
Yeah, no.
These two, and I say these two with the utmost respect, they keep me cracking up. I have never seen a reporter and a player have the relationship that he and Brad do, because I remember, was it last season or was it the year before when Deuce stole the post-game interview with you and Brad?
Oh,
Yeah.
Classic moment. Classic moment. The meme that we all see where Brad's looking over Chris's shoulder, where Chris showed him the stat sheet from the night of the game. And Brad's like,
That was like the most organic thing that happened. He just happened to be walking behind us. We're doing live TV, and he just kind of like pops his head in there. So, I'm thinking on my feet. I'm like, what's the first thing I can ask? I'm like, hey, what stands out to you on the stat sheet? And he's like,
it's like,
and this thing has now become, it's morphed into something bigger than
yes,
what it should be, actually.
yes, absolutely.
that's a comfort level he has with you, both of you. And Wes, I'll get you to comment. A Wizards player story or a memorable interview in your career, the most memorable?
Man, the craziest Wizards player memory interview that I think I had is a split between an impromptu thing where I was out with Otto Porter at an event, at a fan event, and it was really about the fans, but it ends up being one of those things where I talk to somebody and I kind of steal a moment, and I'm like, I'm sorry, we got caught up in a car conversation. So Otto's in the cars. So we end up talking about cars for like 20 minutes. And they're like, hey, Wes, he's here to talk to them. Well, I'm sorry, we're having a car conversation. But the other one was actually Marching. We were doing that was Wiz Got Next at one time. We had him come up, and I think, who was it that got dunked on? I think he dunked on Dan Nolan, and I was supposed to be involved in that, and I kind of bowed out of it. But March was just so cool about being able to just play along with this and have fun. And it really is one of those things that a lot of people don't necessarily, they might not know that these guys are normal people, just like the rest of us. They joke, they laugh, they have good moments, they have crazy moments. I remember when Markieff Morris, we were doing a media day 2 years ago, and everybody's like, Keith is a little more stoic, a little, straight faced, not known for a lot of jokes and whatnot to the public face. Well, we were sitting there cracking up like, hey, man, I know this is a promo video, so if you could like nudge Nick out of the thing. Oh, yeah, I got you. Like it was just so quick and so organic. And those are the things that you love about being around these guys, is that they're looking to have fun like we are too. And they understand that their role as players, and they understand our role as media. And just no matter who I interview, I try to make sure that, we just have human moments and let everything else take care of itself.
Yeah, I've always said that they're in extraordinary situations, but also so many of them extraordinary normal. And I think that the fans appreciate that. And that's why you feel that connection. A lot of questions here from our season ticket members about, and I'll get you to comment on this first, Wes, and you, Chris. What's been the most challenging aspect of your career and the most rewarding? And maybe you guys have already answered most rewarding, but most challenging, Wes.
I'd say the most challenging there have been times when I've asked myself, what story do I want to tell? And in that thought process, the ultimate answer inevitably becomes their story. And so the challenge for me as a media person is to make sure that I don't put myself in front of the story. The temptation is there. The opportunity is definitely there, because I could load a question up for 5 minutes and then like take 20 seconds of the answer and be like, you see how wonderfully I asked that question? But it's really about telling their story. And so on a day in, day out basis, my focus is making sure that I tell as much of it as I humanly can, and I make sure that fans are given the access that they really want. And so sometimes that means putting my little ego aside and, saying, hey, ask your question and let the player be who they are.
Chris?
I think it's
challenging?
Work-life balance. I'm a husband and I'm a father of 8 kids, and my wife and I have kind of navigated this 24-year broadcasting career trying to raise a family, and I'm spending a lot of my time away from home. That stuff seems to be the hardest stuff. The stuff about covering the athletes, I've done it for so long that I've kind of had a rhythm to it. It's not about me, it's about them. It's always been their story. And I've kind of allowed them to um, be in on the process. I talked about the documentary with Bradley Beal. There were just some things that I wanted to make sure he was okay with. Obviously, my documentation of John Wall's 10-year career in the NBA has been, noted. A lot of those things, I don't want to. I don't want to misrepresent their story. So I want to allow them to kind of have a little bit of editorial control in that. And in our industry, that's rare, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people want to just write their own story and then put it out there. But I feel like from the relationship part of what I've been able, I'm not here today, gone tomorrow. Like when I cover this beat, I'm going to be here every day, which means if it's a practice day, game day, travel, whatever. But I think the thing that I've tried to navigate, Dave, the best of my ability is the work-life balance. I mean, my kids need to know that I'm there, and I'm not just helicoptering in and then leaving. Thank God for technology with FaceTime and all those other things. But that's kind of been really the challenge for me is to make sure that they know that even when I'm not there, I'm there. Sporting events. I never missed one of my kids being born. Thank God for that. Never missed one. And those are the things that I kind of take pride in. But the work-life balance is challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's impressive because 8 kids, you're
Right.
bound to miss one birth, but no, never missed anything.
Not one. Not
And,
one.
and speaking of making your family involved, your son is out where is he? In Washington State doing
He's in
television?
Pasco, Washington, doing what I told him not to do.
Right.
He's a broadcaster.
No.
So he clearly didn't listen. But
Well,
on a serious note, it's funny to me how um, my son watched, and I didn't even know he was watching for all these years. And my wife would tell me how he would just sit there and just watch, like my sportscast. And he and I never even talked about it.
right.
Never.
Yeah.
And when he got to college, he started majoring in broadcasting. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, he's doing that, communications, maybe he'll get into PR, blah, 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 blah. And then he ended up getting an internship with us at NBC Sports Washington on his own.
Mhm.
He didn't ask me. Matter of fact, I found out from somebody at work that he was going to end up working with me. And I'll never forget the first day he walked in there. I'm sitting at my desk and he walks in and he tries not to look at me. He's head down. He's kind of like looking over. And I just looked at it. You guys know what the sixth floor looks like
Yeah,
when you got to
yeah.
go back into the edit suite. And I just sat there and just looked at him the whole time. Never once looked at me. But uh, we were in Denver, Dave, last year when he did his first sportscast. And I have to tell you, of course, I cried. You guys know me. I cried at everything. I mean, but it's
Especially
just
when the
weird
check
to see
comes
your,
right now.
yeah, it's weird to see your kid do what you do.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine like what LeBron and watching his son play, like athletes watching their kids play. To be a sportscaster and see your kid do that, it was. I'm glad we were in our hotel room in Denver because I was like by myself on my
Sobbing.
iPad watching, going, "Oh, that's my that's I can laugh about it now."
Yeah. Well, it's my son. Everybody always ask him, "Do you want to get into broadcasting?" And he always says, "You got to be kidding." So obviously, he took my advice to stay away. Hey, we're running out of time here on DC 12 Clubhouse. I appreciate so much visiting Wes Hall and Chris Miller do such a wonderful job on NBC Sports Washington. Wes, we'll go to you. Just your take on this Wizards 2021 season. Again, it's interesting. We just faced the Brooklyn Nets not too long ago, and I heard the Nets broadcasters talking about, well, we're still trying to catch up on defense. We know we can score, but it's going to take some time. I thought, boy, where have I heard that story before? Your take on this Wizards team.
We're undefeated in 2021. So as far as I'm concerned, we're on the right track. I don't know what happened last year. Last year? What is last year? Who talks about the past?
Yeah.
No. In all seriousness, I'm excited about this year. And I was excited coming into it because it felt like, roads were leading to this place where we knew that things were going to be kind of aligning, where we had an opportunity to really make some rumbles in the Eastern Conference and in the NBA. And I knew that we got off to a bumpy start. 0-5 isn't the start that you want to have, but it was about patience and really kind of leaning into what Brad and some of the players were all saying, which is, we believe in ourselves. We're still confident in this team. It's just a matter of getting, the right pieces in the right order. And to see them come out and have fun with Brooklyn. Chris, what was the word that we used in the Minnesota game and in the Brooklyn game? We said opportunity. Yeah. Opportunity. And that's what each night is. It's an opportunity to go out and prove. And if you take it game by game and you win the day, you'll be on the right track. So I'm excited about it. We got some big games coming up. We got to deal with the Sixers, Boston, Miami's coming up around the corner as well. So I'm looking forward to us taking a lot of the momentum that we got last night and rolling down the road with it.
It's the beauty of sports. We keep showing up to see what's going to happen next. Chris, your take on this Wizards and where you might see this journey going.
This team is interesting because offensively, they can score with anybody in the league. And I've never covered a team in the NBA where, if they do like one thing, they could win every night. And that's on the defensive end. And when they're locked in defensively and they can get stops and get out and run, they're a fun team to watch. It's a fun brand of basketball. But before the season started, I said there were like three things for me for the Wizards to have a successful year. One was health. They have to stay healthy. They have to rebound the basketball. They have to defend the basketball. And they've done that in 2021, as Wes said, at a really high level. We know about Westbrook and Beal, but Denny is such a pleasant surprise. Thomas Bryant has developed. Wes will tell you, I'm like his biggest fan. When he plays well, I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
When he doesn't play well, I'm like, you can do better, because I just feel like Thomas Bryant has the potential to be a star in this league. And then, the rest of the players, I think, have improved so much from the bubble that this is an opportunity. And I can understand when you start 0-5, I was just like fans. What's going on? And then when you beat Minnesota by 21, and then you validate that by winning on the road in Brooklyn, a team that's championship chasing, that to me was like, that's, what's funny, Dave? I said, that's our Washington Wizards, right? You're like, that's our guys, right? Yes. And you want to see that more and more moving forward. But, this is a group that has expectations this year, and there's high level of expectations because people think that, 1 through 15, we have a lot of talent.
Thomas Bryant, by the way, been playing almost like an all-star level the past weekend, Timberwolves, and I'm not trying to use hyper. I mean, he really has been at that level. All right, going to end with a couple of fun questions. We also have a trivia question for both of you that's going to lead to prizes. But first of all, real quick, before Wes, fun. What do we not know about? We're going to you got to think about this, Chris, because one of the season ticket member wants to know what your favorite TikTok dance is. And we've been seeing all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you time to think about that. So Wes, I'll go to you. We know about Chris's TikTok career and his talk about passion for sneakers. That's a whole nother half-hour show.
Oh, so
but Wes too.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Wes too.
Tell us something that we don't know that's a little bit quirky.
Quirky that people don't know about me.
Besides the Reese cups.
Right, besides the Reese cups. It's a thing. I just don't like it. Chocolate and peanut butter do not belong together. It's okay. I'll eat them individually, just not together. I guess it would probably go back to, everybody knows that I love music. All right, that's fine. I've been in the music industry for almost 20 years now. But it's the style of music that I love. Like, I literally love everything. If you want to go with Mozart, Bach, Tchaikovsky, I'll listen to that before a show. I'll go from Kenny G all the way to Love in the First Degree from Alabama. I was listening to that the other day because I had a couple seconds. I am like seriously into music. I'm a nerd. I'm that dude who will be in the grocery store and you can hear the faint music in the background. And 3 seconds into it, I'm telling my fiance now, I get to say fiance, yay, because I just got engaged. I tell her, I'm like, yeah. Do you know that's Quincy Jones's album, 1981, off the Dude? See, he recorded that in the back of a trailer. Like, I'm that guy. I'm that much of a music nerd. And it carries over into sports too. But at the end of the day, I'll talk to anybody. If you got a question, ask me. I'm a jabberjaw. It's what I do. And so the quirkiness about me is that I've never met a stranger.
And I love that you brought up country music because I was a country disc jockey playing Alabama, Love in the First Degree. And Chris will tell you this. When I get stuck on how to write a lead on a sportscast, I just go to a country lyric. And then
I'm telling you.
the bananas. Because if my phone's still ain't
Hey,
ringing,
he would normally do like lead-ins, and I'm like, God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What song is that?
Yeah.
I love it. Love it.
And people think you're creative, and the reality is you just ran out of ideas and said, I'm going to steal a lyric.
Right. I'm leaning on Patsy Cline tonight.
That's right. You're showing your knowledge. That's good. Good. Wow. And I just forgot what's her famous song? Patsy Cline.
Stand by Your Man. Come on.
No, the other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
Brain freezing.
It's not
it's
your
really
cheating hearts, is it?
heartfelt.
You're cheating.
No, it's all right. Well, TikTok, Chris. All right, you got to explain this TikTok dance business. Your favorite TikTok dance.
Answer.
So, obviously, in the beginning of the pandemic, I was bored. One of my daughters was like, "Well, just get on TikTok." So, my favorite one is I did the Carlton dance, and the reason why it's my favorite is because Alfonso Ribeiro actually commented on it, like Carlton from Fresh Prince. And listen, I've been doing this for 24 years, man. I've interviewed a lot of stars, but for some reason, I was like, Carlton commented on my TikTok. Look. I was like, look, Carlton. That's probably my favorite one, just because it was so weird to do the dance. But people were like, dude, you actually did the Carlton dance pretty good. I was like, thank you.
Well, and it's appropriate that Patsy Cline, the song I was thinking of was Crazy.
Crazy, yeah,
Crazy.
That was the one.
For feeling so lonely.
Right, exactly. Yes. And it's always good to segue with Crazy coming off a Chris Miller TikTok story. So I just thought that worked out pretty well. All right, here we go. This is a trivia question. Listen up. You guys are not done yet from NBC Sports Washington. It's our DC 12 Club Trivia Challenge. Each week, guests have a chance to answer a special question. And then that question is then featured in our trivia challenge. So somebody could win a prize based on your answers. So this week's DC 12 Club Trivia Challenge question for Chris and Wes. I'll start with you, Wes. What is your New Year's resolution?
Ooh, you're going to love this one. My New Year's resolution for 2021 is to wear pants, meaning jeans, at least 10 times this year, because most of 2022 I've spent in sweatpants. It's been fun, but I actually want to get out of the house and wear some normal clothing. So 10 times is going to be my New Year's resolution as a joke. Seriously, just to enjoy the moments. It's such a simple and maybe even trite or cliche, but just enjoy the moments. That's a lesson that I learned in 2020 is just to take the time to enjoy the flowers along the road on this journey called life.
All right. So Wes's answer, enjoy the moment, but if you wear pants in, you'll also win a prize, perhaps.
Yes.
Chris, what's your New Year's resolution?
To actually go 1 year without buying sneakers.
Oh, please.
Oh.
Please. When?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I want to see this. If you do it, I'll do it. If you can commit to it, I'll commit to it.
let me tell you something. If William Hill puts a wager on that, I'm not taking that bet.
I'm like, wait a second.
I'm going to try not to buy a pair of sneakers. Now, if someone gives me a pair, that's one thing, right? We can agree that if someone gives me a pair.
Did you say this year or this week?
This year. I want to see if I can do it.
Okay. Well, listen, guys.
I'm not going to say food because I love food way too much.
Way too much, yeah. Okay. That's a big sacrifice. That's a big resolution. So we've got enjoy the moment and no sneakers for a year as part of our DC 12 Club Trivia Challenge. Listen, we appreciate your support in the DC 12 Club and spending time with us in the DC 12 Clubhouse. And again, thank you to Wes Hall and Chris Miller for your time. And make sure you tune in to NBC Sports Washington tonight as the Wizards face the Sixers, second time this season. That was a winnable game the first time around. Yeah. Pre-game live with Wes Hall, Chris Miller, Jason Smith, and others. I think about 12 commentators on that show, so it's well covered. That begins at 6 o'clock, and then you can watch Chris Miller and Wes Hall cover the Wizards all season long on NBC Sports Washington and the My Teams app. Any other way? Did I get everything in there?
I think you got it all in
Man,
there.
I tell
Yeah.
you what, man, your DJ skills come in handy all the time, DJ. Great
Well,
job.
Alabama, the love in the first degree.
I'm
By the way,
telling
that's
you,
what Bra-
man.
that's what
Oh,
Bradley
by the
calls
way,
me.
Dave, before we run, don't let Chris act like we're the only two people who got radio backgrounds on this show. Don't let him slide out of here. Somebody, you want to go ahead and tell him?
There you go. I was a
Chris-
DJ back in the day. It's all good.
Okay.
We all have the same kind of background.
Yeah. So the three of us together in a room, we can bore everybody with stories. Anyway, no, listen.
No question.
It's always a lot of fun with you guys on NBC Sports Washington. Again, in all sincerity, no one covers it better. These guys, Wes Hall and Chris Miller, and we're having fun today. And I appreciate them taking time because they do spend so much time with this team. And I know it is their pleasure and it is their passion. And it's always our pleasure and passion to spend time with you in the DC 12 Clubhouse. Be looking for another episode of Off the Court right here in the DC 12 Clubhouse.